I wish that I had someone that helped me. In the very beginning, it was really hard. I feel like people are more open to helping other people now. At least that's what it looks like. But I didn't feel like that when I started. I was very lost and I went to a lot of people that definitely took my money and, you know what I mean? A lot of big mistakes. So I would say I wish I had that.
Welcome to Maker's Mindset. I'm your host, Nancy Twine. And in this episode, I'm in conversation with Shani Darden, celebrity esthetician and founder of Shani Darden Skincare. Known for her results-driven approach, Shani has earned the trust of Hollywood's elite, including Jessica Alba, Chrissy Teigen, and Kelly Rowland. And after training under a top dermatologist, she began creating her own custom formulas, eventually opening up her first flagship studio in Beverly Hills in 2019 and launching at Sephora in 2020. Her signature product, Retinol Reform, is celebrated for its transformative results, winning awards like Allure's Best of Beauty. And today, Shani shares her proven formulas and trusted expertise so that people everywhere can achieve their best skin. Let's go ahead and jump in. Well, welcome, Shani. I am so excited to be in conversation with you today. I mean, you were one of Hollywood's most sought after estheticians. And what's really cool is you're known for your results-driven approach, but it's all really simple and straightforward. And your journey took you from training under a top dermatologist to launching a high-profile brand, Shani Darden Skincare, which has made a mark in the beauty industry, and it's loved by both A-listers and everyday people, which I absolutely love. So I want you to take us back to those early days. What first sparked your interest in skincare, and how did your training under a leading dermatologist really sort of shape what your future has become?
So I was always obsessed with skincare. I think it was just from my mom. We had a Mary Kay lady that my mom was friends with that was always at the house.
I remember Mary Kay.
It's the best. And so I wanted to be the Mary Kay lady. Also, I think I had a lot of different rashes, and then I went through having acne. So I really struggled with all of that. So I became obsessed. We didn't have a dermatologist where I grew up, a very small town. So I think that's where the obsession started, but I didn't know that I was going to be an esthetician because I didn't even know what an esthetician was, because we definitely didn't have that in Plattsburgh, New York. So that's where it kind of started. And, I would mix masks for my friends. And then later on, when I moved to LA, one of my friends was kind of like, you should get into skincare. And I was like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. So after I got out of school, I ended up working for a dermatologist. I was so lucky because that's very rare. Who's going to hire someone right out of school? And I worked with her for years. And that's where I kind of got all my experience.
Wow, that's incredible. And I talked about the fact that your brand has really become an example of simplicity plus results. It's all about efficacy over complexity. Yes. And, launching a brand is one thing, but sustaining its growth and building a unique identity in a really crowded market can be so challenging. So when you first launched your brand, what steps did you take to establish your unique brand identity, and how did you differentiate it from what else was out there?
So I didn't have a plan, but working for the dermatologist, I worked with so many clients that were using a prescription retinol. And so I got to see all of the great anti-aging benefits. It treats acne. It does everything, but it's very harsh. A prescription retinol can be very, very harsh. So I had just decided, I was like, I need to make an over-the-counter retinol, one that's really gentle. And the crazy thing is, at that time, there was only one over-the-counter. I think it was SkinCeuticals. So I don't know why or how I came up with the idea, but then I went to a chemist and I was like, I want to make an over-the-counter retinol. And I really didn't have any plans to make other products. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I was just doing facials in the back of my house in this office that I had just to make money to put out this one product. So it's kind of wild, but I never really have a plan. It wasn't I want to have a skincare line.
Totally. And I feel like our stories are similar in that way, because it just all started with this white space opportunity. Right. And it's so funny how sometimes when you see that there's a need for something that doesn't exist, you just naturally just pour your heart and soul into it.
Definitely.
And things just start to unravel. So I love that. And I will say that, many founders struggle with a transition from a service model, what you were doing in your home and in the derm office, to having like an actual scalable product line. So how did you go about making that leap?
I think for one, I still do all the facials. So I'm still working and doing facials. I mean, pretty much about 4 times a week. So I still have that. As far as, building like a team and everything, I mean, it was very like definitely not something I knew what I was doing, but it kind of happened very slowly. So I think because the transition was really slow for me, even like making products, like I made 1 product and then I made 2 more and it took so long.
But even how did that start? Like, did you have to find a chemist?
Yes. That's
packaging
that's all
manufacturer.
so scary. So scary. All of that in the beginning. That's why it's like it's so great to help other people when they're starting, because I went through so many,
I know.
people that just wanted to take my money, and the packaging and all of that was always a disaster. So, but yeah, it took a while to get it right. I mean, my first packaging of Retinol Reform is so ugly. And I put the stickers on each one of the bottles. Like that's where I was at. Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's so funny because I am really similar in that I didn't have many like mentors when I was starting the business. And so I was like doing everything the hard way. I didn't even realize that there was like a better way to formulate and get cool packaging and things like that. But do you feel like your journey was just sort of like this series of like just trial and error?
Yes. A lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
So many mistakes.
Yeah.
For sure. And now like going into it, now I have a system and, a great chemist I work with, but I went through a lot of shady things out there.
No, I know. But I appreciate you sharing that because I feel like people see you now and they see this beautiful brand that's at Sephora. And they feel like, oh man, she must have had some sort of like shortcut or someone helped her.
Oh my God.
That wasn't the case.
No, not me at all. Not at all. I worked really, really hard. I wish I had that shortcut because it really does make a difference. And I've seen that with a lot of brands, but no, I would just do all the facials to save my money. And then I'd put out another product, and it took a while.
Wow.
It took a long time.
How long did it take you to launch the brand from when you first had that idea that like retinol needed to be different?
Yeah, Retinol Reform was about a little over 10 years ago. And then I definitely had to take a break. So it took a while. I can't even think of how long it took until the next products, but it definitely took a while. And I had a rental house I was living in that had a back office behind it. And that's where I worked for years and years and years.
Wow.
When I went on my own. And then it took me a while to finally get the place that I have now, which I love so much.
Yeah.
But it took a while.
Wow. And then at the start of the pandemic in March of 2020, you launch on Sephora.com.
Yes.
And in that
Very
fall,
scary.
you start to roll out into stores. And I mean, Sephora is an incredible retailer and they've brought so much visibility to the brand. And they've also helped just give you a platform, right, to educate and storytell. So what led you to choose Sephora as your exclusive partner? And what advice would you give to other entrepreneurs that are trying to create, a best-in-class retail partnership?
I just feel like Sephora is the best. It's everyone kind of wants to be in Sephora. And I knew so many people that had brands there. So I had already met with them a few times and they were so honest. And, I'd met with them probably like 3 times before I actually got into Sephora. And they were like, you're not ready. You're still not ready. And they'd give me advice. So it just all kind of worked out and made sense.
And so do you feel like going into Sephora was almost to this like push that you needed to refine the brand? And like, did the packaging even look like what it looks like now?
No, not at all. It's gone through a lot. And now it used to be plastic. Now it's going into glass. And that's a slow transition as well. But no, it was Very crazy back then.
And I hear that from a lot of people, like just, the opportunity to go into Sephora turns into like this boot camp.
Yes.
Of like, all right, I need to get my packaging together. I need to get like my supply chain together.
You have to get it all together.
I need to get a sales team together.
And they're not letting you in unless you're ready. Like they're very careful. So it's pretty great.
Yeah. Leading on that, building a team that really embodies your values and vision is so critical. And I'm sure, you even experienced that when at one point you were the company's CEO. And then, your decision to bring on leadership, I'm sure, was to help give you more space and freedom to focus on what you're most passionate about, product development, education, your clients. What were some of the biggest challenges in building a team that really aligns with your values and vision?
I've worked with some of the people on my team. I've worked with them for a really long time. So that's really great. So I feel like I have my family in that. But, as far as everybody else, it's very hard. No one's ever going to care about your brand as much as you care about it. And I've learned that many of times. And so, you just try to find someone that does really care about the brand and, that's skilled in all the things. But I think it's about building it slow and just finding people with really good values.
And so one of the things that I tell people a lot is that you can't just look at someone's resume. Like in that interview process, you have to really take the time to understand, who is this person?
Yes.
What are their values? Why do they want to work for my company? Because, again, as a founder, you're building something from the ground up and you need almost like mini founders, right?
Yes.
In the company. And you want to bring in people too that want to be a steward of your vision, that don't want to come in and like change everything, right? And that's not to say that some things should be changed, but your brand is special because of what you bring to it and your vision for what it should be. And that's something that you have to really, really protect.
And they have to care about your vision.
Yes.
That's the other thing, because some people do not.
Right. And so that's a question that I get asked a lot is, how do you solve for that? And I always say, just spend as much time as possible before you make that hire. And, I'm sure, everyone knows it's really hard when you have to make that tough decision to unwind someone that you've brought on. Yes. And so you have to invest that time up front.
For sure. I totally agree. Yes. And that's why I feel like doing everything slow, building slow, so you can really focus on who you're hiring is the best move.
Yes. Hire slow.
Yes.
So your name is not just the brand, but it's also this philosophy around simplicity, expertise, and obviously skincare. How did you leverage your personal brand to elevate Shani Darden Skincare? And what role has social media played in that journey?
I mean, social media is like everything for me. So it's where I can connect with people. I can educate people. It's been a big focus of it. And I feel like even more so, that it's just even more of my focus. So I would say it's really important to the brand.
Yeah. How do you leverage your personal brand into your skincare line?
Yeah, I would say that it goes hand in hand, especially since I'm still working as an esthetician. I don't think that I would be able to make products as well as I do if I wasn't still working as an esthetician, because that's where I get all of my motivation, my inspiration from my clients. And I mean, they test all of my products when I'm making them. So it's great.
I actually think that's one of your superpowers, the fact that you can flex between these two jobs that are so synergistic. And just like, it's almost like you're in the lab every day, because what you do for your clients, it is, you're seeing the skin, you're seeing how products interact. I mean, you're so close to it.
I already spiral when I make products. It takes me so long. Like some of the products, it's been like, I've had that made for 5 years. And I just think having my clients and them testing them out just makes it so much easier for me. Because I've pulled products where I thought I was done. And one of my clients was like, no, I don't think this isn't right. And then I had to take a break.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I almost equate that to you being like an artist. And sometimes you just have to take your time. You can't rush an innovation pipeline just to put something out. And I think that's probably, or it could be, a challenge for you, right?
Oh,
it's like
beyond.
You want the product to be perfect.
Yes.
And if you're tied to a deadline because a retailer needs XYZ, that's super hard. So how do you
I don't know. I've been in trouble so many times. I'm not good at it at all. Like now I say I'm making a few products right now and I'm like, guys, we've got to hurry up because you know how long if we don't get this sample, it's going to take me forever. And then you're going to be mad. But I just will not put it out. There's no way.
Yeah. And I think that's important because I think that's why people trust you. They know that you're not going to put anything out that isn't excellent,
no
right?
Way. Yeah.
And so for those founders that may not have an existing following, what steps would you recommend to start building a strong and engaged community like the one that you have?
Well, as far as like, you've got to be out there and you've got to be yourself. I would say it's all about social. I have a few people that I have they were a part of this mentee program that I have. And so I'm always trying to like help them with stuff. And I'm like, you've got to be out there on social. But the thing about social is you have to be yourself. Once you are really, truly yourself, people will start following you. So you can watch everybody else's, but you've got to do it your own way. And it's so important. So
I think that's really, really good advice. I think sometimes people get self-conscious. They're like either, oh, I don't look good on camera, or maybe I'm like kind of quirky and what are people going to say about that? But you'd be surprised that people embrace those imperfections, right? Like they don't want you to be perfect.
They want you to be real. And you can't be like everybody else. You just have to be yourself and it works. And I have to say, even with my social now, it's so interesting. In the last, I don't know how many months, it's been like a year. I started just like doing whatever, saying whatever. And I have so much more engagement with people because I'm kind of a nut job. And like, it's like people want to see that. They don't want to see the other. And also like if I'm filming something and it looks too fancy, no one wants to see that on my page. They want to see me as like an idiot and like acting a fool.
What gave you sort of, I guess, the confidence to just start showing your real self? Like, was there something that happened or you were just like?
I remember I started changing everything. I went to New York. And I just kind of acted a fool in New York. And my engagement was so great that I was like, this is what I'm doing. Like, I don't care. Like, this is how it's going to be. And it's hard because I'm mixing skincare along with me being an idiot. But it's like, that's what people want to see.
Right.
That's what they want to see on my page.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And I guess that's helpful because obviously so much has changed with the Instagram algorithm and you've always got to try new things. Is there anything that you've learned, especially for, founders that are just kind of starting out with Instagram? You've been doing it for some time.
I would say that it's about switching it up. When you find something that works, you stick with that and then you're going to have to switch it up. So it's kind of just like testing it out. But, once you're doing it all the time, it becomes kind of easy. But like, it's okay to act a fool. And people, as long as you're being honest and true, like, people will follow you.
Yeah. How many hours a week would you say you're spending creating content?
So it's not like my favorite thing to do, by the way. Like I do it every day, but it's not like a whole production. It's like I wake up, I might do a tip, I might show my outfit. I just try to do something in the day. And then, I have the calendar already built out with the people on my social team. It's not like a whole thing. It's more like sporadic, crazy.
You kind of fit it into
Yes.
I love that. So your journey from a one-on-one esthetician to a full-fledged brand founder really requires a mindset that embraces adaptability and resilience. Like you have to have that, right? So what have been some mindset shifts that you've had to make as you've transitioned from purely esthetician to esthetician and entrepreneur?
Working with a lot of different personalities, that's a big one for me. I'm not great with like a lot of people around. That was a big adjustment, having like a team of people. I tend to weirdly be somewhat of a loner. That's why I like the facials. I'm in a room, it's just me and one other person. But I would say just the different personalities, allowing, also trying not to be such a control freak and allowing other people that know what they're doing to do their job. I mean, always watching, but I think that's a big one.
And how did you, I guess, find a way to sort of lessen up on the reins to allow people to do that? Like, did you go to therapy? Did you do a lot of self-reflection? Because that's hard.
A lot of self-reflection. And I don't mean like completely. You've always, as I said before, no one cares about your brand as much as you do. So you always have to be there. But allowing people to do their job, I just finally had to just let go. And also there was not enough time.
Right.
At some point I can't, there was nothing else I can do. I'm doing facials, I'm doing product development. You have to let go and trust those people.
For sure. Well, your journey has been so inspiring, and I feel like entrepreneurs can learn so much from your journey. And looking back, is there one thing that you wish you had known before you started your skincare brand?
I think there isn't one thing, but I wish that I had someone that helped me. In the very beginning, it was really hard. I feel like people are more open to helping other people now. At least that's what it looks like. But I didn't feel like that when I started. I was very lost, and I went to a lot of people that definitely took my money, and you know what I mean? A lot of big mistakes. So I would say I wish I had that.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I launched my brand Briogeo, 11 years ago. And people always ask me, who was your mentor? Who was your advisor?
No one.
I didn't have anyone. Yeah. And you're right. I feel like the ecosystem has changed, which is a great thing. Yeah. I mean, if I had that person that I could trust, like my co-pilot, I feel like I would be, so far ahead, or I would have avoided so many of the mistakes and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree.
So before we wrap up, we are going to pivot into the really fun part, 5 fire facts, which is a rapid fire interview question, just so our audience can get to know you in a fun way.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Best advice you've received as a business owner?
I mean, I think it's nobody cares about your business as much as you do. I think that's just so important, because when people go and they leave, it's wild, and you don't realize until it happens, and you're like, wait, I thought you cared. I thought this was a team. So you just have to really know that.
Yeah, it's a harsh reality.
It's very harsh, but it's true.
Yeah. Top 3 skincare ingredients that everyone should know about.
Vitamin C, retinol, and sunscreen.
Good ones. A daily wellness habit you swear by.
I mean, vacuuming.
Really? I was not expecting that.
No, it calms me. I can't wait to do it when I get home. I do it usually about 2 times a day, and it's just so relaxing.
Do you have a lot of carpet in your home, or will you vacuum?
Vacuum everything. I vacuum, and I also mop twice a day.
Wow. Okay. I wasn't expecting.
Oh, yeah. It's my favorite.
Most common skincare mistake that you see people make?
Not wearing sunscreen.
And what does that do when you don't wear sunscreen?
It's all the things that everyone complains about when they're in their 30s and 40s and up. And they're like, why do I have these brown spots, fine lines, all the things? Yeah. And then you spend all this money with products and lasers when you just needed to stay out of the sun.
Yeah, totally. Financial advice that you would give to new entrepreneurs?
I mean, I'm the worst. I would say financial advice would, when you're building, build slow. Build slow. Yeah, build really slow, because that's where you can get yourself into trouble.
And hire the people that know the finance stuff. Don't try to do it if you don't know it.
No. Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
So lastly, where can people shop Shani Darden Skincare?
Sephora.com and my website as well, but always like Sephora.com.
And what's your website?
ShaniDarden.com.
Awesome. This was so fun. Thank you so much, Shani.
Thank you for having me.
To stay connected with Shani, the Makers Mindset community, and me, check out all the details in the episode description below, and check out Spotify or Apple Podcasts to hear a few bonus reflections from me on this episode. And don't forget to subscribe to this series, leave a review, and share this episode with your community. Thank you so much for tuning in.